play against a program with a lot of tradition and history. And we have a lot of respect for Coach Cooley and his staff and the things that they're going to do here and they're doing here at Georgetown. And I thought our guys, coming into the game being a little bit shorthanded with some of the injuries we've sustained here lately, I thought our guys battled for 40 minutes. And I always tell our guys, in games like this, put us in a position at the under 4 timeout, and let's let the chips fall where they may. And at the under 4 timeout, I think it was a 6 or 8 point game. And when it's a couple possessions like that, now the execution has to kick in. Unfortunately, you lose a guy, to an injury, and then one of our guys, our key players, fouls out. And in those situations, that's where things got to tighten up a little bit. And give Georgetown credit down the stretch. They pressured us a little bit, and some turnovers led to some untimely and ones or some untimely layups, and they got some momentum rolling downhill. But I thought our first half, aside from digging ourselves a bad hole, I thought we responded, and to come back and take the lead with 10 minutes to go in the game, certainly something to build on. And so much of the game of college basketball, progress is measured in wins, but there's some things and losses that you can take from it. And I'm pleased with, for 40 minutes, I thought we competed, followed the game plan, we out-rebounded them, and we've been challenging our guys to be able to do those things over the course of 40 minutes. But college basketball, you don't have a whole week to swallow in your miseries. You got a couple days to go back, figure some things out, and then get ready to compete again. But great opportunity for us to come in and play against such a storied program, and have a lot of respect for Coach Cooley and his staff and what they're going to be able to do here.
Rob, when you kind of look at, you were talking about the turnovers and PV in particular, what he kind of brings to bear, how much is he kind of like the head of the spear in some ways for what they are defensively?
Yeah, because of his length and athleticism, right? I mean, that creates challenges when you're out there on the perimeter, and the passing lanes get shorter and shorter and shorter. And that's where we've been pretty adamant about playing off 2 and not testing your pass, especially against some longer players like that. But yeah, he's on both ends, really. I mean, he does a lot of really good things, and his versatility, both offensively and defensively, is going to put them in a position, I think, to win a lot of games.
And for you guys, just the poise that you had after that rough first 6 minutes or so, what did you see kind of just go into being able to chip away fairly quickly, all things considered, too?
Well, the unfortunate thing, 6 games into the season, we have demonstrated a unique ability to dig ourselves a deep hole and find a way to get back out of it. I told our guys, leave the shovels at home. Stop digging holes. Let's try to go into these games and at least give ourselves a chance after the first media. It was that way when we played Campbell in our first win, and we were down 15, I think, in the first half. And we found a way to win that game. And in some of our money games, we've done the same thing. And but it's a resilient group. If nothing else, early in the year, they're not going to hang their heads. They're not going to let a run. And basketball's a game of runs, but they're not going to let a run determine the outcome of the game. And so it's important that we get off to some better starts here. But we now can look back, and the confidence that we can pull from that and say, we've been down, guys, before. We've been down. You got to stay with it. And early on, we got some shots that I thought were good looks. They just weren't making them, and had to tie up some things defensively. But over the course of 40 minutes, there's going to be some runs. I just wish they weren't at the beginning of the game and all the time.
Did you change anything with your actions that started popping Rosenberger so open? Because he did have very, very clean looks for that stretch where it seemed like he got on and got some confidence.
I think the big thing for us was we were able to get stops. Right? We weren't taking the ball out of the bottom of the net. And so the matchups may be a little bit disjointed for them. And he has such a good feel, and he's such a good competitor that when we get him in space, he's doing a really good job early in the year on making those reads. And early in the game, we're taking the ball out of the bottom of the net, and they're really good defensively. So if we're walking the ball up the court in our half-court sets and having to rely on that, it was going to be a long game. But once we got stops and we're able to open the floor up a little bit, especially against a team that's really big and really long and does a good job disrupting things, I think it opened some things up for Bobby, and our guys did a good job finding him. But again, with a kid like that works so hard, eventually the ball's going to find him, and the shots fell for him, especially in the first half.
And at the very beginning, you could tell that Georgetown was on a mission to jam the ball inside. Everything they were running to come inside. Yet, as the game went on, I know you showed some zone. Sorba only had 4 shot attempts when you know they were pushing it to him. Where was that success in you guys? Because that's a win for you guys.
And fortunately, or unfortunately, to this point, we played some really big teams. Dayton, Penn State, Clemson, they've got some monsters just like Georgetown. So our guys are used to playing against bigger players, and part of the game plan was, let's make his life tough, because to this point, as a freshman, he's so skilled. I mean, his ability to impact the game on both ends, offensively and defensively, and rebound it. I mean, he's a special talent, and we knew it was going to take all 5 guys. We couldn't just have one guy down there wrestling with them, because we're going to lose that. But the focus and the game plan of our guys to be able to take them out of that was, like the rebounding was a victory, and that's what I mean. There's going to be some progress that we're going to see out of this, and now it's about sustaining those habits over the course of the next couple of games as we work towards our identity in January and February.
And you talked about sustaining. How do you sustain that into the conference season? Because that's what these games are for.
And that's, at this level, we're playing, and I said to Coach Battle before the game, like we could win this game, but if we don't play well in our conference for 3 games in March, the ultimate goal isn't going to be there. So our job is to peak at the right time. Listen, we suit up, we want to win every game. We also have to have a perspective that we're getting ready for January, February, and March. Everybody in the country is, but for us in our league, it's a 1-bid league. So we have to do a great job of, as coaches, of keeping these guys level-headed with a clear mind and a clean heart, because it's easy in a situation like this where you're playing against really, really good players to go the opposite direction. And it can be a challenge at times, but I'll tell you, the guys in that locker room, this group in particular, is really good about keeping things in perspective. Our captains have done a tremendous job, and it'll be important for us to say, listen, we out-rebounded Georgetown, because if we get in the league and the guys aren't as big, I'm going to remind them that we out-rebounded Georgetown. You better go out and out-rebound someone in our conference. But things that we can certainly build on and get ready for January, February, and March.
What was the role of that 2-3 zone first half and kind of stabilizing things for you? I thought that was key in the comeback.
Twofold, and it's probably the most zone we played all year, but it was twofold. It was try to rest some guys. And we were playing, I looked at the box score, because of our injury situation, our rotation wasn't as deep, and wanted to try to keep certain guys on the floor as much as possible. And then also, because of their size, and because of Sober and those guys that do such a good job of dominating the paint, we wanted to try to make them shoot some contested jump shots. So it was twofold.
Gotcha.
It was a little bit of a, maybe of a curveball to give them a different look, but to protect the paint and keep some of our guys a little bit fresher.
Devin Sweetney, I've known him since he played basketball in high school. What does he bring to your program?
I've known Devin since he was, a high school senior. I remember picking him up for his official
Riverdale
visit
Baptist?
at Riverdale Baptist, and he came out of Riverdale Baptist dressed as Michael Jackson. It was Spirit Week. So, but Devin as a person, certainly his success that he had at St. Francis, and then what he did post St. Francis is remarkable. And the opportunity for us to bring him back into the program and impact young people in just a short time, he's done a tremendous job of helping our guys understand how to compete, but to keep things in perspective, because he's been on the other side and he had success. And it's, to have his mom, his mom is a fantastic mom and has done a great job raising Devin and who he is as a person. He was an unbelievable basketball player, but he's an even better person. And those are the types of people that we want around our guys. And so when I can point to Devin, and listen, Devin, and he'll say this, he had some flaws and had some things he had to work through as a college basketball player, but because he experienced those things, and now you can see what he is, who he is right now as a man and as a father, those are things that I want our guys to be all conference basketball players like Devin was, but I want them to be even better people, and he embodies that.
Thank you.
John Titel from Hoops HD. As far as Valentino, do you know if it was foot or ankle or something else? And I know it literally just happened a few minutes ago, but any update?
Yeah, it was an ankle, and it all reports it wasn't, I think his reaction was a little bit out of fear. But in talking to our trainers, he's doing okay. They have him in a boot for precautionary reasons, and we'll come in tomorrow and reevaluate it and try to get him healthy, because he's a difference maker for us. He's such a talented player. And even when he doesn't score, just the way he moves the ball, his defensive understanding, he's got a high IQ. And he played on the Spanish national team that beat Victor Wembanyama in France. So he's played in big games. He's not afraid of the moment, and it's important that we get him healthy and ready to go. If it's next game, it's next game, but down the road, he's a very important piece to our puzzle.
Thank you.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Riley Parker. He had 20 points, 4 or 9 shooting. He was averaging 5 points a game before this. Is this the type of offensive impact you expect from him, and maybe a game you remind him about moving forward?
Yeah, and he played really well in our last game. And I think, too, so many times kids value or put their value on how many points they score, okay? but when we looked at our first 4 games, he led us in defensive rebounding, he led us in assists. And I met with him the other day, and if I could pick one thing that I thought he would do really, really well out of the gate, it was shoot the ball. And if I could pick one thing that I thought he might have to work on, was rebounding. And it was the flip. He was rebounding really well for us, and he wasn't shooting the basketball. But he works so hard at his game. He's one of those kids that, he shows up to practice. One of our captains does a great job in practice, weight room, classroom. But then he does a little bit extra. And so when you have a captain like that who pushes the envelope with the work ethic, success is going to happen eventually. And in our schedule, too, up to this point, he's played against some really, really good, and tonight's no different, but some really, really good guards and some teams that pressure and are going to try to take us out of what we do. And but to see him have a game like this, he can look back, like you said, and say, hey, listen, this is a confidence builder. Now it's okay, building on one game and making sure that we continue this, because we're going to need him to be productive for us as we move forward.
Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.